guys, how's it going? It's been a while since I got to talk to you guys, and I'm really excited about this project, so I'm honestly just going to kind of dive right into it. And my lovely assistants have even made a cameo as well. Alright, so my question was, why should anybody get offended if I burn the American flag? It's a free country and it's my flag. Now, I'm going to warn you guys that at some points in this presentation, I will be quoting hate speech. It's not that bad, but if it's something that makes you really uneasy to hear, I won't be offended if you don't want to watch my presentation. It's very quick and it doesn't get prolonged at all, but I wanted to give you guys a warning either way. So, to begin the presentation, I'm going to take it all the way back to when the U.S. Constitution was written and remind everybody about the First Amendment. Now, 5 rights are protected under the First Amendment: the freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom to petition, and the freedom to assemble. Now we're going to take things back to 1989 when a case called Texas versus Johnson was being looked over in the courts. Now, Texas versus Johnson declared that laws protecting the U.S. flag were unconstitutional because of the First Amendment. Sorry, guys. Now, in response to this, President Bush Sr. Quickly started drafting an amendment that would exclude any type of desecration of the flag despite free speech laws. People decided to protest this idea by burning flags in front of the White House, so this was kind of counterproductive. Now, take it to June 11th, 1990, when laws criminalizing desecration of the flag were officially counted as unconstitutional. So you can do pretty much anything you want to the flag legally. So the answer to the question of why should people get offended is they really shouldn't at this point, because it's our rights as Americans. We have people fighting for our rights to be able to do what we want to do and say what we want to say for the most part. Now, this information comes to us from an article written by Time magazine. So this led me to wonder about what type of people were really taking time to burn flags. It feels like a really drawn out process just to protest, I suppose. So my research took me to a group called the Westboro Baptist Church. For those who don't know about Westboro Baptist Church, they were established in the year 1955. They began picketing in the year 1991 in Topeka, Kansas. They were picketing against supposed homosexual activity that was happening in the area. So they started picketing other churches and other organizations. They were picketing them because they felt like they were promoting homosexual activity. And they also are very well known for picketing at the funerals of fallen soldiers because they fought for a country of fag enablers. Their words, not mine. During their protests, they hold up signs that say that we are a doomed nation. They also hold up signs with several other slogans that are primarily promoting hate speech. And they're also known during their protests to wear the American flag around their waist so that they can step on it. They have spit on it, and they have even burned flags at their protests. Now, several states have since made laws that you can protest funerals because we have the right to petition and the right to assemble and the right to freedom of speech under the First Amendment. However, because a lot of families were getting very upset that signs saying that, their loved ones were going to hell because they fought for a country of fag enablers, people were getting very upset about this and saying that hate speech should not be protected under the First Amendment. So, laws were drafted saying that they could protest, but they had to be within a certain radius of the funeral, and they had to be outside of certain lines so that the families could still feel comfortable and mourn their loss rather than worry about people protesting the funerals of their loved one. However, Westboro are not doing anything illegal. Everything they're doing is protected under the First Amendment, and because of the Texas versus Johnson case, anything that they're doing to the flag is also protected. The information about the Westboro Baptist Church comes to us from their website, godhatesfags.com, and several YouTube videos and interviews that they have done. Now, members of the Westboro Baptist Church are not heavily involved in the military. So I was really curious if there was anybody who was involved in the military who may have protested using the flag. My research brought me to a gentleman by the name of Robert Rosebrook. He was a United States Army veteran. He was drafted in the mid-1960s, so he would have fought around the time the Vietnam War was happening. In the year 2009, he led a protest to protect commercialization of a veteran hospital in California. He wanted that land to be used to house homeless veterans rather than build a park, which is what the state wanted to do with this land. He protested for 250 Sundays in a row. Now, at the beginning of this protest, it was primarily him and other fellow veterans just holding up signs, and they weren't really getting a lot of notoriety. They weren't getting a lot of press. Not a whole lot of people were actually listening to their cause. So he decided to up the ante by displaying the American flag upside down at his protests. Now, the police got involved, asking him to please remove the flag or display it correctly. Now, as we remember, under Texas versus Johnson, desecration of the flag is not illegal. Any kind of protest is also protected under the First Amendment, along with the right to assemble. So, a trial was, put up against Robert, and he joined the American Civil Liberties Union in the lawsuit because the police wanted him to remove the flag, and he won that case under the terms that he was protesting peacefully and not to incite a riot. This information comes to us from an article in the Los Angeles Times. Now, we know that technically the answer to my question is why would anybody get offended over me burning the flag? It's a free country and it's my flag. Technically, at this point in our research, nobody should get offended. It is 100% legal as long as you do it in a way that does not incite a riot. So I decided to talk to a young woman by the name of Amanda Felix Van Dyke. She is a self-proclaimed Army brat and proud American. She's had several family members enlisted in the United States Army, and she displays a flag proudly in front of her home. I asked her, what does the flag represent to you? And she said, freedom, honor, and bravery. I know it sounds cliche, but for all the men and women who have given their lives and families who have lost them, that is our symbol. And I asked her what she thinks about the idea of somebody burning the American flag. And she was very quick to respond that she feels like it is very disrespectful to desecrate the flag in any way, and that she would not be afraid to speak up if she saw something like this happen. Now, my personal opinion, and remember, if you guys remember back to my very first video where I said that I am a journalism student, I keep the First Amendment very close to my heart because of the freedom of press. And knowing that as Americans we have these rights and that they're protected, makes me feel very comfortable that I can go about my career and be able to tell the world the facts. However, I do think that certain types of hate speech and certain types of protest should not be considered legal necessarily. However, it makes me really happy and proud to know that there are people fighting for this country and protecting these laws whether or not they agree with them. I think it's very selfless of them, and to me that's what the American flag represents, is the selflessness of all who have fought for our country. And one time I was working on a story and I was doing a ride along with a police officer, and we happened to drive by a graffitied area that said very bad things about the police and had a flag hung up that was very deteriorated. It was dirty. It had noticeable burn marks on it. So this stuff can actually happen in our backyard in Youngstown, Ohio. And during that, I was very taken aback by it, and I felt offended by it for him. But he said that it honestly didn't bother him because there's people fighting for their rights to do that. So I feel like for the most part, those who might get offended by it are the family members of those who are fighting. And even if it's not necessarily those who are fighting themselves, there should still be a certain amount of respect to the family members, in my opinion, and backed up by the research. Thank you so much for watching my presentation, guys. I had a lot of fun actually researching this. I am a very proud American myself, and this was something I was kind of curious about myself, is why these laws are protected, and I'm really happy I know this information now. I can't wait to watch your videos, and I will talk to you guys soon. Hope you guys are having a good semester. Bye!